Okay, let's dive right into this massive transition from the COF-C02 to the brand new COF-C03 exam. So, if you've been holding off on booking your SnowPro Core certification, or, if you've had your study notes bookmarked for months, consider this explainer your official wake-up call. The testing landscape for Snowflake has completely changed, and today we're going to navigate exactly what that means for you. Here's how we're breaking it down today. We'll look at why the exam changed, the format and timeline logistics, what's brand new, the shifting exam priorities, and finally, we'll map out your specific study battle plan. All right, part 1, why the exam changed. Listen, walking into a 2026 exam with 2024 notes, yeah, that is a guaranteed recipe for failure. And here's why. Snowflake's core identity has fundamentally shifted. The old C02 exam focused on Snowflake primarily as a cloud data warehouse. Now, though, the C03 tests the new Snowflake AI Data Cloud platform. What's really interesting about this is that core identity shift. This rebranding isn't just marketing. It's a very real, testable shift in the exam's focus. Moving on to part 2, format and timeline logistics. Let's establish a comfortable baseline here by looking exactly at where we stand today. As of May 14th, 2026, the English version of the COF-C02 is officially dead. It's retired. The transition is fully underway, which means the CO3 is now your only option. But hey, don't panic. Let's do some rapid-fire logistics of what actually stayed the same. First off, you still face exactly 100 multiple-choice and multiple select questions. You're still going to have exactly 115 minutes on the clock to complete the test. The passing score, that holds steady right at 750 out of 1,000, so roughly 75%. And the cost remains a very accessible $175 delivered securely via Pearson VU. So yeah, you can still expect the exact same sterile testing center environment or, those rigorous webcam checks if you're testing at home. Okay, part 3, what is brand new? All right, we're getting into the real meat of this explainer now. Without a doubt, Snowflake Cortex is the biggest addition to the exam. So Cortex is basically the AI and machine learning layer built directly into Snowflake. It brings LLM-powered capabilities natively right into SQL. You don't even have to move data outside of Snowflake. But here's the really good news. You only need a conceptual grasp of its problem-solving abilities. You do not need to memorize complex API syntax. Seriously, you just need to be able to answer things like, why would a data team use Cortex instead of calling an external API? Next up on the new list, we have Apache Iceberg tables. Snowflake now supports Iceberg as an open table format. This means organizations can store data in object storage while still querying it right through Snowflake. Now for your studying, emphasize the why. You just need to know that Iceberg gives you the flexibility to avoid vendor lock-in, all while still tapping into Snowflake's compute power. You can completely ignore the deep operational mechanics or specific internal configurations. The CO3 also introduces a handful of other fresh additions you've got to be aware of. You'll need to know the basic use cases for Snowflake Notebooks. You'll also see expanded data governance. This has grown far beyond basic role-based access control to include things like data lineage, column-level security through dynamic masking, and row access policies. Data collaboration now heavily features data cleanrooms and the Snowflake Marketplace. Plus, they've added conceptual questions on Git integration, CI/CD pipelines, and how to handle unstructured data, like PDFs or audio files, using directory tables. Which brings us to part 4, shifting exam priorities. Now, these are areas of the exam that aren't entirely new, but they've seen some massive shifts in emphasis. We've actually gone from 6 separate exam domains down to 5, and this brilliantly illustrates the domain consolidation, showing how the Snowflake AI Data Cloud architecture now anchors a massive quarter of the entire exam weight. The classic 3-layer architecture, storage, compute, and cloud services is absolutely still there, but now the AI layer and the native app layer have been bolted onto that structural picture. I can actually offer you some massive relief here. The dreaded memorization of obscure built-in function signatures, that is a thing of the past. SQL definitely remains important for sure, but the focus has shifted. The exam now tests whether you understand what to actually do with data transformations, like working with semi-structured data, using flatten and lateral, rather than if you've memorized the exact syntax of a clause. All right, part 5, your study battle plan. Now that we know what's actually on the test, let's establish the exact do's and don'ts for tackling it. First off, you absolutely must have your foundational prerequisites locked in. The CO3 just assumes you already understand basic database fundamentals, things like views, joins, and authorization. It also assumes you know cloud computing basics, like the differences between IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, and the super crucial concept of separating storage from compute. If your base cloud or database skills are shaky at all, you really got to fix that before diving into Snowflake-specific content. Because honestly, a lot of questions require you to translate these fundamentals into Snowflake-specific context. Okay, now for my favorite part of the battle plan: what to actively ignore. This is a huge relief. The official sources are very clear on what you can confidently skip, which will literally save you hours of wasted effort. Do not waste your time on step-by-step UI walkthroughs. Skip the advanced native app build mechanics. Ignore heavy coding questions for any of the new features like Cortex, and don't sweat the deep operational specifics for Apache Iceberg. Honestly, if the Snowflake documentation labels something advanced or deep dive, just skip it. I absolutely love this quote from our source material because it perfectly summarizes the entire upgrade. The exam tests conceptual clarity, not implementation depth. So the crucial takeaway here is that understanding when and why to use a specific Snowflake feature always beats knowing the exact code to execute it. So here is your practical 4-step action plan to get certified. Step 1. Read the official January 2026 study guide front to back. Step 2. Spin up a free trial account. Seriously, 20 minutes clicking around a trial account to set up a masking policy or to just explore notebooks is easily worth 2 hours of reading. Step 3. If you previously studied for the CO2, spend all your extra effort on the new stuff: Cortex, Iceberg, and governance. Step 4. Make sure you review the account_usage and information schema views. Performance monitoring questions absolutely love to reference things like query history. This certification is incredibly valuable. It opens doors across data engineering, analytics, and cloud architecture roles. The enterprise world is already building on these new features, and now, well, so are you. The old exam is gone, the transition is totally complete. So my question to you is, are you ready to get moving and conquer the new one?